Okay, so what we have here is the outline of the LED that we're going to fit into the radio. Here's a schematic of the two drawings, digit 1, digit 2. This is just the dimensions of it. Shows the pins here and dimensions of the digits. This you'll see on LED data sheets. This is the wiring diagram for the two types. There's common cathode, where you have a positive wire going to the a negative wire going to the LED, and then you have common anode, which is the one where you have the positive wire. Pin 4 and pin 5, normally at the bottom of the LED, that's the one where you connect onto, and you either put your positive or negative lead onto the LED. Now the LEDs that I'm using are common anode, so I put the positive lead to pin 4 or 5, and the negative lead then, which is the ones I'll show you on the actual radio, then connect onto the various pins at the top. But I'm going to show you how to test the LED display before you put it in. If you are using a second-hand one, it's worth doing it now, because then you can find out if it actually works before you fit it. One of the things you will need is a multimeter with a diode test function on it, which is this symbol here. Doesn't have to make an audible beep, but you need that symbol there. I'll take a close up and show you what it is. You can get them for about 5-6 quid, these meters, and they're perfectly acceptable. And it's quite ingenious way that when you touch the leads on there, it puts a tiny voltage in the LED and lights the segments, so you can test it, as I say, before you fit it, and I'll show you how to do this now. Right, so I've fixed the positive probe to pins 4 and 5, and then what you can see is if I touch this pin on the top right, the LED bar lights up. So the one on the top right is digit G, then we've got top one, left hand one, right hand one, then we're on to the second digit, there, there and there. So the whole top section of that one's working. We do down the bottom now, we have that one, that one, that one, that one, oh that was me bridging too, that one and that one. So as you can see, they all light up. So that LED is working, and from this I can now work out which pin corresponds to which wire on the other one I need to wire it to. So give me 2 seconds and I'll map it out. All I'm going to do is on the top right, I'm going to draw a diagram and I'm going to say, okay, top right hand side, that is digit G. The next pin in from the top right is digit A, that is digit F, digit B. Then we go on to the other one, and we've got digit F, digit A, digit G. Now what I normally do is I normally make this side lowercase letters and that side capital letters, so that when I've got digit A and digit A, I've got capital A, lowercase a, and I can immediately determine which side of the digit it's going onto. So let me rejig this and we'll come back and see what I've got. Okay, so we've mapped that out. What I've now got is we've got lowercase G, A, F on the top row, and then B. So we got G, A, F, B, lowercase. Then it changes over to the digit on the other side and goes capital F, capital A, capital G. Then we go down to the lower row here and we've got C, E, D. So we've got C, E, D down below. Then we swap over onto the other side and we've got D capital, E capital and C capital. So you've got 4 either side up the top, so you've got this whole circle being done either side at the top. Then you're missing 2 pins at the bottom, effectively taking those 2 out because you've got the 2 for the plus in the middle, pins 4 and 5, where your probe or your power is connected. You've got capital CED one side, lowercase DEC the other side. So that's now got the wiring for this switch. Now I just want to show you the LED, sorry. Right, that's now got the wiring for that LED display. I just want to show you the LED display I took out, and we'll have a look at the digit that was out, and we'll just simply redo this exercise and you'll see it will not light. Right, I'm not sure how well this is going to come out, so I've dimmed the lights down a bit. So we've got the middle bar, which would be G. Then we've got the upper bar, which would be A. We've got the left hand bar, which would be F. Then nothing. We're missing B, which would normally be the top of the digit. Then you carry on, you've got the right hand one, left hand one, top one, middle one. So we are missing that one there, which is, if you look at the diagram, we're missing that one on this LED display, which was where I had the digit out before. So which when you looked at 19, we've got this one, but we haven't got that digit, we only had the bottom one. So yeah, that's display. Hang on, let me put the light back on again. So yeah, that display is definitely not working, so we definitely need to change it. Sometimes you get these out and you test them and all the digits work, and then you find out it's a broken track or dodgy solder joint. So that's I always check them using this diode method that I know of, so, and it works wonders. So if you haven't got one, get yourself one of them meters. Right, let's head back to the radio and we'll look at why the measurements we've taken here are going to be useful for when we put it back in the radio, and I'll show you how the wiring looks. Okay, so inside the radio, this is the little board which is directly above the channel change knob, and running along the side here, it's quite hard to see, are the lowercase letters this side and the capital letters on the other side of the board that correspond to the segments of the LED that these wires need to be connected to. So that's why I showed you how to find out which segment is which letter. Then that way, when you're connecting lowercase wire A at the top here to segment A on the LED, you can also be confident you're connecting it to the right one. So what I'll do, I'll map out the wiring for this and I'll post up a separate diagram for you. So if you're doing a Super 4E, you've got the position of the lowercase letters, the uppercase letters, and also the colour of the wires that go with them as well, just in case one of your wires comes off or you just get muddled up. There's one other wire which connects onto, which is here, which is this orange wire, and that connects onto the LED because the LED connects to this little circuit board here, and I'll show you how that fits on as well when we get to that point. It actually bridges 4 and 5 because that's the power supply coming in. So you'll get how it wires up once I've got it done, but that's what we have to push the LED legs through from this side and then solder all of these wires onto here carefully without bridging any terminals, then fix it back in, and then in theory we should have the correct LED. Right, let me get on with that now and I'll come back to you once I've soldered it and I'm just about to reassemble it. Right, so flashed up on the screen now is the diagram that I've made that shows you the layout on the printed circuit board, the corresponding pads as to which pad is labelled with which segment ID, i.e. lowercase a to lowercase e, and capital B down to capital F. I've also put the corresponding wire colours there as well. They are sided, so if you've got a wire on the right hand side, as you look at the radio, that will tend to go to the lowercase. If you've got a wire on the left hand side, that will tend to go to the uppercase. So left hand side, left segment, right hand side, right segment as you look at the radio. Oh, one more thing as well. The modern LEDs, because you can't get the exact ones, as you can see the other one's got like a green front, these have got a black. These normally come with 2 little white dots to the right of each digit. So what I do is I carefully take a black felt tip pen and I just put it over the top of the dots just to colour them out. Once you get it in the radio and it's behind the fascia, behind the screen, you can't see them, but it's just me being, well, just me really. I don't like to see those white dots through the front. So yeah, just blank them out and then you will never see them. It'll just look like you've got just the 2 digits. The other thing I forgot to mention to you is if you look at the back of the printed circuit board that the LED legs are going to push through, there's two sets of holes in each pad. One hole is where the LED comes through, and then you solder the LED in. So you do this is a two-stage operation, and once you've soldered in the LED, you then go on and add each of the wires to the LED. That way you're not just soldering it once and you've got the LED coming loose and the wire soldered or whatever. You can do it quite well that way, but you need to be very careful that you don't get any solder bridges across these little pads. So you try and lay the wires on completely vertical, and be very careful. You need quite a fine tip iron as well, and obviously you can't put too much heat on or you will lift the pad and ruin this little board. If this board gets ruined, the only other option you've got is to solder direct to the leg, and it's not a good idea to put heat directly to the leg. But if that does happen and you do knacker the pad, just solder it onto the LED. It's the only option you've got. If you can get it on there and it makes a join and stays on and the LED digit lights, you'll be okay, but you could ruin the LED, so just be warned. When you push the LED through this board, also make sure that the four little corner lugs are flush against the board, otherwise when you try and put it in the fascia it won't sit level in the window. Also, in addition, now we've pushed this through the board, we've got a row of pins here. We're not really sure how these are all lined up, but then if you come across to your original diagram, you can see this pin in the top right here, this pin in the top right here is G, which corresponds to this middle segment G here, lowercase. So this is why it's important to have this information with you, because when you're just going to grab wires out of here and wire them in, you need to know where they go. Right, let me actually get started. I'm just waiting for my soldering iron to warm up at a minute. There's not a lot of skip on the radio, I was just having a listen, but there's nothing on there in a minute. Okay, so I've managed to solder all the legs of the LED on. I'll post the picture up on the left hand side now. So there you can see all the legs are now soldered on and there's no bridges between them. I have a little jeweler's loop that you can see from this. I can zoom right in and get in pretty close and check for bridge solder joints. So I always do that afterwards, because at the moment we need to get it right at this stage, because if we solder it in and we've got a bridge on it and two of the digits come on at the same time and they're not supposed to, we've got to take the whole thing back out. Obviously when you're looking at that bird's nest and what's involved in this, you want to get it right first time. Okay, so let me start soldering the wires in and we'll see how we go. Right, it's all wired in, so we'll fire it up and see what it looks like. Oh, not very good by the look of it. It's obviously upside down at the moment. Let me... Right, so 40 looks good. Obviously it's upside down. I'll flip it around in a minute. But I've just noticed a problem. So if we go to channel 1, look what we got. We got this extra digit. Let me turn the light off. So we got this extra digit lit here. So we got a short on lowercase e. So I need to find out what's causing that short, but apart from that it seems to have worked. So okay, so it looked like we had a little solder bridge there, which I've just managed to trim off. We just rub it off really. So right, we got 40. Let's have a look what we've got here. I want to go the other way if I can move it. Ah, there we are, channel 1, 3, 6. That's looking perfect here. Let's go all the way through, just make sure everything's... Yep, that's working perfectly now. Right, let's get this thing back together. Another handy tool that you're going to need is a 10mm box spanner, because you can't actually get down in these shafts to get these nuts on and off unless you've got one. So get yourself one of those, and it's a really valuable tool. I had to buy a set for about £4 or £5, but I will get the use out of this, because at the end of the day it fits, and I'm quite often tinkering with radios, so I need to pull that up now and do that up. Okay, so I've just put it back together. I'll put the channel knob on. We'll just have a roll through, just check everything's okay. Perfect. so she's all good. Go back down. Yep, so she's all working. Perfect. Right, let's just have a look at the resistor that we had go that was stopping us getting any output. The resistor that I had to purchase to get mended was this one here. Now I managed to get 5 of those resistors for 99p. Just bear with me and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so here's the resistors I brought. I brought 5 of these. As you can see, it was 99p delivered, and they are a 1 watt metal film resistor plus or minus 1%. They're 10 ohm. You can buy a 2 watt or a 3 watt. You can go higher rating value, but you can't go less. So I couldn't have brought a half watt because it wouldn't have been any good. But I needed a 10 ohm 1 watt minimum. Ideally, if they'd have done them, I'd have gone 10 ohm 2 watt. Then you've got a really overpowered resistor in there and it's less likely to blow, but I had to get what I can get. But for 99p delivered, that's a bargain. Right, as you can see, I've put it all in and it's all working, so let's fire this thing up and see whether it actually works. Right, so here's the meter. I've got the radio set to channel 19. You can see I've got TX there and the meter's going over on the down below, so you can see it's restored. Let's see what we're doing on channel 19. So we're going to go forward first, and we'll set that there. Then we'll go reflected. Let's have a look what output we got. So we've got practically 4 watts. That's on channel 19. So we'll go to channel 1, 4 watts. Go to channel 40, 4 watts again, well, 3.8. So we have restored transmit. So now there's only one last thing I've got to do with this radio. So we sorted the display and I've sorted the TX, but you may notice the squelch knob is missing. Now on these radios, hang on, let me show you another. So on a Maxcom 4E, on the squelch switch, you also have the PA function. So you turn it like that, and then you've got your squelch, and then when you want to go onto PA, you can hear that click. Well, the one on here broke and I couldn't actually get one of those replacement knobs, so what I did is I went on the internet and I found these guitar switches that you can buy, but they're not twist for PA, they're pull on and off. So what I mean by that is you have to pull it out like that. Oh, hang on, pull it out like that and then put it back in. So pull it forward, put it back in. So it's going to be slightly different function, but it will work. But what it means now is I've actually found a replacement stock of PA switches for the Maxcom 4E, which is good. Just trying to find the old one, seeing if I've still got it. I think I may have been... oh no, here it is. Here's the old one here. You can't hear the click. You can hear it going back, but it doesn't. See? Right, that's on PA, and now I'm going to turn it on. It just goes round. So it's clearly broken. So that's what I'm replacing with this massive beast here. I think I've very slightly got to drill the hole